So if you're new to the channel, firstly, welcome. I'm Clips, also known as Brendan. Wait, that's the other way around. I do commission art for a living, primarily for RPGs, but also sometimes for bands and t-shirts and stuff like that. You may have seen my work in stuff like Ronin, or Forbidden Psalm, Cairn, Mutant Crawl Classics, whole bunch of stuff really. Hell, you might have even seen my art in Slay the Spire, or on the thumbnail art for Yomi Hustle, which are video games, but you know. So for this particular video, I want to dive into one particular commission that I have been working on. So a bit of background is required for this one. For this commission and this project, my client is Harvey Smith, who was the lead designer on the original Deus Ex, as well as the creative director on Dishonored and Dishonored 2. All very influential games, and Deus Ex is actually something I played when I was like 12 or 13, and it really influenced me in terms of actually becoming a game developer myself for a little while. Well, not a little while, actually. I made quite a few video games. Oh yeah, if you follow my channel for RPG stuff, you might not know, but I actually have games on Steam that I made solo. That's neither here nor there, but what I'm saying is that Harvey Smith is actually hugely influential on me. So it's really a weird trip to be doing art for him for an RPG book, a bestiary. So I've done a few pieces for Harvey already. I'll put them up on the screen around here. And they were great fun to work on, and I learned a lot from them. I've been trying to up my skills recently, so this gave me a good excuse to really push myself. I'd like to make a bit of a digression here and explain some of the materials and equipment that I use. So for my main workhorse, it's a Wacom Intuos Pro. I'm using a regular stylus. Actually, this is not a regular stylus, this is the art pen, which allows me to do barrel rotation. I also have a, I can't get it into the shot here, but I'll try to take a picture of it. I have a Cintiq, which I barely use. I also have an iPad that I use to draw some ink details sometimes, but honestly, the main workhorse digitally is usually just my tablet. And in terms of my software, I jump around a lot, but right now I'm using Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop quite a bit. In terms of traditional tools, I use microns a lot, so I use these quite a bit. I also use a lot of brush pens. I actually have a lot of brush pens. But this one I believe is a Pentel Color brush pen. These are really good. I believe that these are better than the Pentel Pocket brush pens. But we'll get into that when we are discussing the traditional inking stage. So it starts off with the brief. For this one, Harvey wanted some fey creatures, some wolf-headed woman. They work alone or in packs. Completely human from the neck and shoulders down. He described them as lean, sometimes a bit sexy, a little punk even though it's dark fantasy, and from the neck up a large wolf head. So they act as kind of like sirens but in a forest, where they can kind of lure people into a cottage and kill them. So before I even started, we started doing a back and forth, and I started asking what kind of clothing they wear. And Harvey said probably a mishmash, and he really wanted to lean into the punk aesthetic of it a little bit more. Something slightly revealing but not too much. He wanted something that kind of gave off the vibe of an ultra-violent girl gang. So for thumbnail sketching, I start doing it digitally. I go for a very low resolution canvas, and the reason for this is because it allows me to, well, it prevents me from going into the details. And that's perfect if I'm trying to get the composition right. So I noodle around, I make a few different drawings, I try to hit a few different kind of aspects of it. All of them still trying to fit the brief, but trying to kind of get at it at different angles. In the finished thumbnail, there's A, which is kind of like a more aggressive kind of look, B, which is more mystical, and C, which is more stealthy, I think, a bit more roguelike. So after I was done with this, I sent them off to Harvey, and he gave me some notes on what he liked, what he didn't like as much. But we ended up settling on C, with a few minor changes. So I started doing some modifications to the thumbnail directly. I do not blow it up at this stage, I'm still working low resolution. And that's important because, again, I don't want to get the details in yet. So after this, I send it off again and get it approved for the final rendering stage. And this is where the fun really begins, because then I can block out all of the dark areas, I can add in all of the details. Now, this is a bit of a digression from how I normally work, which is actually to draw out all the dark areas, but then print it off and then work on it traditionally. This time I wanted to get a bunch of the details in digitally, well, most of them, and only do traditional for the finishing up parts. So you can see me getting in all the hatching and all of the little details here and there. And this time I really wanted to push myself. I wanted to get a pretty clean look, similar to what you might see out of like Marvel comics. After all that is done, I print it off. I just have a regular laser printer, and then I go in with a micron pen and some brush pens. And I don't have any footage of that, unfortunately, but the process was pretty short, but I think it's very valuable. You can see a side-by-side comparison of the before and after here. And yeah, there's a bunch of detail that I kind of find easier to do traditionally, especially with like feathering techniques and like gradients and stuff like that on ink work. But digital gives the benefit of being able to block in large areas really quickly. So I like to combine the two for best effect. And I guess for efficiency as well. So after all that is done, I send it off to Harvey again. And there are some notes and some modifications, slight tweaks that I make. And in the end, we're left with this. I really like how it turned out, and I really like the detail work that I did on this particular piece. I think it's a good mix of clean and dynamic, and I really enjoy the whole vibe it gives off. I hope this was helpful or interesting to you in some way, especially to anybody who's thinking of getting into commissioned art and being curious about how I go about things. If you'd like to commission me, feel free to message me on Discord. My username is just chowclips. If you like the content, like and subscribe, all that YouTube nonsense. And I'll see you again next time. Bye!